Some people buy astonishingly fast motor cars, and then rather bizarrely, they simply potter about in them, observing the speed limits and generally behaving like responsible members of society. Then there are others who, upon strapping themselves into several hundred horsepower, appear to believe they've been instantly transported onto a top-gear challenge, with the public highway as their personal playground. The allure of speed, that intoxicating red mist, is a powerful drug indeed, but public roads, old bean, are not and never will be the Nürburgring, especially when they are absolutely teeming with families on their holiday excursions. It's a surefire recipe for an utterly catastrophic disaster, a cacophony of twisted metal and shattered dreams, all because one individual couldn't resist the siren song of the throttle and the chariot of choice for this particular exhibition of profound lunacy, a gleaming, pristine white 2024 Chevrolet C8 Corvette. This is not your granddad's Austin Allegro. This is a proper, fire-breathing American muscle machine, a mid-engine beast that bellows with the unrestrained fury of 1,000 enraged bald eagles. It is meticulously designed to go fast, extraordinarily fast engineered to pin you forcefully to your seat and make your internal organs perform an impromptu reshuffle. It's a genuinely brilliant piece of automotive engineering, but in the entirely wrong hands, it transforms into a guided missile, utterly devoid of any guidance system. So allow me to paint you a picture. Interstate 93 in Salem, New Hampshire. Not exactly a deserted stretch of German Autobahn, especially not around the rather uncivilized hour of 7:45 in the morning, and particularly not on the Monday of a Memorial Day holiday weekend. Our intrepid hero was initially observed by the New Hampshire State Police traveling at a rather brisk 110 miles per hour, 110, in a location where the vast majority are probably trundling along at perhaps 70. This wasn't merely pushing the envelope, this was dousing it in petrol and setting it ablaze. Now, any sane, rational individual, upon catching sight of the distinctive flashing blue lights, would almost certainly gently apply the brakes, pull over in a safe and controlled manner. But not our Corvette pilot. He, in his infinite wisdom, decided that the most appropriate course of action was to unleash even more of those American ponies under the bonnet, consequently rocketing up to an utterly bonkers 140 miles per hour, 140. He wasn't just attempting to outrun the police, he was apparently trying to outrun common sense itself, weaving dangerously through traffic like an overcaffeinated wasp trapped in a jam jar. The driver is attempting to chase a motor car capable of achieving near warp speed when you are confined to a typical police saloon that handles like a mildly sedated blancmange, is frankly a bit like trying to catch a particularly agile cheetah, using only a butterfly net and a hopeful expression. It's often an exceedingly dangerous endeavor, not just for the brave officers involved, but for every other poor, unsuspecting soul on that stretch of road. High-speed pursuits conducted solely on the ground can very quickly devolve into a chaotic, terrifying ballet of near misses and actual metal-crunching hits. The police are acutely aware of this perilous reality, and they're certainly not daft. They required a better method, a more sophisticated, cunning approach to dealing with these tarmac terrorists, and what ingenious solution did the clever chaps and chapesses at the New Hampshire State Police decide to deploy against the C8 menace? Not a squadron of heavily armed Spitfires. Sadly though, one can dream instead they utilized something almost as remarkably effective, a fixed-wing aircraft. Yes, you heard correctly, a proper airplane piloted by the rather cool-headed trooper Thomas Lombardi. This omnipresent eye in the sky swiftly became the absolute bane of our speeding friend's escapade. One can almost picture Trooper Lombardi up there, calmly sipping a cup of tea, or perhaps being in America, something more akin to a gigantic root beer float, sagely watching the dramatic spectacle unfold beneath him, with serene, zen-like detachment from his considerably lofty and advantageous perch. Trooper Lombardi possessed the perfect, unobstructed panoramic view of the speeding white Corvette as it audaciously sliced its way through the dense morning traffic. No amount of frantic weaving, no sudden desperate lane changes, and no futile attempts to hide behind larger vehicles could possibly shake this tenacious aerial observer. The Corvette might have possessed the raw speed advantage on the ground, capable of leaving pursuing patrol cars eating its dust. But it simply couldn't outrun the invisible tendrils of radio waves. The plane acted as the ultimate all-seeing spotter, meticulously relaying every single move, every ill-fated attempt to vanish into the automotive throng, directly to the ground units, who were patiently waiting to make their formal acquaintance with the driver. And so this high-stakes game of cat and mouse, or rather more accurately, of airplane versus ridiculously fast plastic sports car, reached its inevitable conclusion thanks to the incredibly precise, real-time information being expertly radioed down from the heavens. Above ground, base state troopers were able to strategically position themselves and intercept the fleeing Corvette, ultimately apprehending its rather surprised driver, one Brandon E. Babcock, a 22-year-old resident of Salem, Massachusetts. There's simply no effective hiding place from an eye in the sky, no matter how low and sleek your sports car is, or how definitely loud its magnificent V8 roar. It cannot escape the relentless, unwavering gaze from above. Checkmate Sunshine, this whole rather unedifying charade, wasn't just taking place on some run-of-the-mill. Tuesday morning, oh no, it dramatically unfolded during the particularly busy Memorial Day holiday weekend. In late May of last year, this is a period when Americans take to the nation's roads in absolutely colossal droves, heading off for well-deserved barbecues, trips to the seaside, or simply a brief respite from the daily grind. This naturally translates into significantly more cars, more caravans towing wobbly loads, more families with screaming children, a vastly increased potential for things to go spectacularly wrong if some utter plonker decides to play silly blighters at speeds approaching triple digits. It's unequivocally a time for heightened caution, not for auditioning for a role in the Fast and the Furious franchise. The New Hampshire State Police were acutely well aware of this substantially increased risk factor. Consequently, they had proactively initiated a special targeted traffic enforcement operation specifically designed for that holiday weekend. This wasn't merely about catching one single errant Corvette. It was a concerted, widespread effort to firmly remind absolutely everyone that the established rules of the road still very much apply when the tarmac is packed like a tin of sardines. They were out in considerable force, and they most certainly meant business. And as it tragically turns out, their rather pessimistic expectations were quite accurate. Young Mr. Babcock and his truly astonishing 140-mile-per-hour sprint were certainly the headline-grabbing act, but he was by no means a solo performer. During this very same intensive enforcement period, the diligent New Hampshire police recorded no fewer than 6 other drivers brazenly exceeding the 100-mile-per-hour barrier. Furthermore, an additional 42 drivers were clocked traveling at speeds in excess of 90 miles per hour. That is a genuinely staggering number of individuals, treating public highways as if they were their own private test tracks. To place all of this into perspective, the very highest posted speed limit anywhere in the entire state of New Hampshire is a rather reasonable 70 miles per hour. So these weren't just minor infractions. These were individuals driving at double the legal maximum speed. It truly makes you wonder what on earth goes through their heads. Perhaps nothing at all, which is the most frightening thought. And this isn't merely a New Hampshire peculiarity. Over that exact same holiday weekend, way over on the other side of the country in California, 5 other Corvette drivers were similarly ticketed for comparable speedy transgressions. It almost seems as though some Corvette owners believe the iconic badge comes with automatic diplomatic immunity from speed cameras and traffic laws. So what fate, you might reasonably ask, becomes of our Corvette driving speed demon, the aforementioned Brandon E. Babcock? Well, I can assure you he's not simply getting away with a mere metaphorical slap on the wrist and a softly spoken, "Don't do it again." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video.